Hi everyone, Phil and Steve from Warhammer Online here, and today we've got a treat. We've got the Battletome for Nighthaunt. Pretty excited about this. Massive thank you to the guys at Games Workshop for sending us both the Nighthaunt Battletome and the Stormcast Eternal. Check on the list because the Stormcast Eternal will be up as a separate review, so pop along and check that out as well. But without any more to do, let's get into this.
Can't wait.
I'm new to Nighthaunt, but I was the lucky guy that got to paint the models out of the new Soul Wars box set. So when this came through, I was pretty excited. I think I'm going to be building 1,000, maybe 1,500, possibly 2,000 points worth of Nighthaunt. Steve, as the resident death expert, is here to help me talk through the Battletome. Obviously, this is all new to Steve, so I'm going to chat through and kind of talk through what I've found out. And Steve is here to bring the wisdom and knowledge from the previous Battletomes, really, from a compare and contrast point of view.
Yeah.
So, the publication-wise, this is absolutely beautiful. I mean, artwork is fantastic before we go anywhere. It's not a huge Battletome in terms of how thick it is. It's not massive, but that's not surprising. You know, this is not a huge faction. I think there is something like 16 unit types across the whole Battletome in total. So
compared to what they had before, it's a massive increase.
Yeah, exactly. What is good is the kind of content. It's broken down. Our Battletomes are now consistently broken down, really. We've got all of the background fluff and information, which has been forever expanding during Age of Sigmar, so that's what's fantastic about this. And it's continuing to expand as we move into Soul Wars. So there's a discussion about the kind of build-up to this. We've got details about the new units and some of their history and some of their fluff and where they came from, and a big fan of Lady Olinda. Just absolutely love it. We'll talk about her later because she's fantastic. And then we get into allegiance abilities and war scrolls. So I'd say the book breaks down really into three main sections. You've got the background fluff and information, all the stuff about the allegiance, and then into the war scroll. So we'll base the review in a similar format. We'll go through each one of those section by section, probably spend about 10 minutes on each of them, and then we should be done.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's have a look at the fluff section. This is my favourite bit, I have to say, because I've not read much about death before. I read the small chapter that came with Soul Wars. Really got me into Nagash. I was quite excited about him. I think he's a really happy chap. Apparently he's not, though.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
I think either I misunderstand Nagash or he's misunderstood.
He is very misunderstood. Yeah.
You know, the thing is, as I've read more and more about Nagash as well, is I have to say I'm kind of sympathising with his cause. What we've got is this front section, that which haunts the night, and really what this whole first part is talking about is the kind of metamorphosis of Nighthaunt as an army. And there's a great bit in there which basically leads up to, why there's leadership now. So there's a great bit in here that says that, after the Necroquake, there was just millions of souls released upon the realms. A huge percentage of them, a huge chunk of them was our friends, the Nighthaunts here. And off they went. And they basically went on a bit of a rampage. And in some areas they were fantastically successful, and in others not so. And it was about leadership. They basically got carried away and started scaring people, rather than getting on with conquest.
It became a bit more of a Halloween trick-or-treat thing than it did.
I think they were just having a bit of an angry rampage. So what Nagash decides to do is he needs to implement some kind of leadership into this. And really this is the kind of explanation of why we're getting a whole bunch of new characters coming along. I think that's what they're trying to do. So we have the Mortarch, which was done to sort of put some order into them. And then you've got, the other two main characters were brought in as well to kind of expand that leadership. There's a good piece in this front section which talks about essentially the search for a new Mortarch. So this is Nagash seeking to kind of find some new leadership for them and deciding that his current set of Mortarchs are either not really appropriate for the Nighthaunts or he doesn't particularly trust their loyalty, does he? There's only really Archon that he kind of trusts the loyalty of. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct. Manfred is ambitious. He always has been ever since end times. To be fair, it was his fault that Chaos won, really. And that's all because of Manfred's spite, basically, for Nagash.
Well, the good news is Lady Orlinda has not got any hang-ups. or at least none that weren't imposed by Nagash. What you've got with Lady Olinda, and I really like the background to this, is she was basically a Black Widow. So she was on a rampage. She worked her way through all the lords, getting higher and higher up in society, and then eventually made it as far as getting engaged to the prince. And on the night of their wedding, the prince and the father mysteriously disappear, and she was put in charge of the land. So when she eventually died, and I won't go into all of the story, but when she eventually dies, Nagash curses her for being so naughty and Black Widowish during that period. And eventually his search kind of brings him to her, and this is what I kind of really like about this, is she's still ambitious. She's still built an undead kingdom of her own anyway, so this is all he has to do really, is grant her a bit of his divinity, and boom, you've got a new Mortarch. I like it. She's very different to the other Mortarchs as well, which I think is quite nice, because it gives these guys, their own unique feel.
Yeah, it's nice to also have another Mortarch that isn't on a similar mount. Yeah. It's like the three Mortarchs currently are all on pretty much the same beast. Yeah. This is a standalone Mortarch, which is, again going back to old times where you had all the different Mortarchs when Vlad was a Mortarch and stuff like that. So it's good that it's going away from pretty much being almost samesies.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You've got this kind of real unique feel now to this faction, which I think they're pushing for. Even in the Stormcast review we did yesterday, Pink and Jack were talking about how you're now getting essentially, almost from 40k, the chapter rules. So there's quite unique feels now to some of these sub-factions, which I think is great. Importantly, though, she's not alone. She was alone for a while, but she didn't exactly do a 100% right job either. And just to annoy her even more, and I think that's a theme with Nagash, isn't it? He's big on his punishment.
Yeah, he does seem to come up with some rather fitting punishments, because he goes for the long game.
Yeah, so very, very long.
The eternal punishment.
There's no such thing as time served with Nagash. I think I'm getting that. To calm her down a little bit, because she was overstretching her forces, she's essentially forced into a marriage with Kurdos here, who's this craven king. It's a great bit of fluff, and I really like the fact that Nagash is like, even with his leaders, just to keep them in line, he's just really
gives them a husband.
Which the funny thing is as well is it's just a complete role reversal as well. She's the leader, she's stamping around there, and he's kind of following around, going, yeah, maybe we should calm things down a bit,
And he's just as ambitious as Manfred. He wants to rule, but now he's in a position where he will never rule. So that is again a long ongoing torture that Nagash has put on.
There's no doubt he basically serves her. By the way, there's no doubt on that. He is in servitude to her, which again is just further punishment for him, isn't it? Yeah. So you've just got this running theme, and of course, one of my favourite, and we've just seen the models recently released on the community site as well. So there is some pictures of the models in here, but this great illustration of Reikenor the Grimhaler. I just love it. It's a great looking model, great piece of fluff as well.
This is a chap with the corpse candles, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, and I love the little candles on the back of his horse's helmet here, and on his own helmet as well, or his shoulder-mounted candle, which is just awesome. It's kind of like an ancient predator. Yeah. But brilliant. Absolutely loving it. Some other things to pick up in the story, really, it's just beautiful artwork. It's just absolutely stunning. You can spend the entire time just looking at these amazing illustrations. You've got some of the Stormcast Eternal here. As Matt and Jack talk about in the review for Stormcast Eternals, these are gritty, grislier Stormcast Eternals illustrated in this artwork as well. Things are getting tougher for the Stormcast Eternals. So
kind of has to be if you're dealing with spooky ghosts.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see here, we're starting to see some of the beautiful models now. So this is just amazing, this Mortarch of Grief. I absolutely love it. And you've got the bridesmaids here floating around as well. And I really like this tie-in as well to the endless spells that we'll cover later as well. But you can see the little hourglass and the little chest there as well. The next section kind of covers details of both the models and painting guides. And again, this is a welcome, introduction now to Battletomes as well. I think this is great for both experienced hobbyists and, people starting in the hobby, both. because it kind of gives, for us experienced painters, just great artwork to look at and great schemes to look at. And at the same time, for people starting out, it's like step-by-step instructions on how to get some of these results, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
And the models are beautiful.
Oh, incredible. I mean, here we actually see the dreaded Wraith Wizard Reikenor, and I think that's probably the best glimpse you get of him in this, actually. So, but you do, of course, it's on the community website, you can actually see great illustrations of him. Another one of my favourites, the new Black Coach. It's just awesome.
Just absolutely amazing. Probably my favourite model in the Nighthaunt is the Black Coach. And those of us who collected the old vampire counts will remember the rather flimsy metal Black Coach that we had to stick together. And if you tried to move it anywhere, guaranteed that some of the sides will come down. And it's also good to see, because the Black Coach used to be quite a force to be reckoned with. Then when Sigmar came out, it was meh.
Yeah.
And now with the rules in the new Nighthaunt tome, it seems to be going back to being a bit more of a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. It's definitely a centrepiece for the army. It's intended so in terms of the scale and size of the model, but also in terms of reflection of how it's reflected in the rules. As I've said, here we've got the painting guides, and we've got everything from blue spirit techniques to green spirit techniques, the cloth in different variants as well. So it's really great. It's a real fantastic starting piece. Gets you up and running. And really easy techniques, 4 stages, and you've got a fantastic looking army. So great to see. Okay, that's the front section done really. We've gone through, the fluff and the history, and then into the models, which is great, but, something I'm sure everybody is waiting for really is, what are these allegiance abilities looking like? What are the army rules looking like? So let's just dive straight into that. There was a couple of things in the allegiance ability that I think caught both our eyes.
Yeah,
for me, it was the Aura of Dread. I really like this. This is a subtract 1 from Bravery, characteristics of all enemy units whilst they're within 6 inches of a friendly Nighthaunt unit. So this is every unit in your army.
Every single Nighthaunt army, every single Nighthaunt unit does a -1 Bravery buff.
It's just awesome.
Now, I'm not sure on the wording, but does that stack? Does it look like it stacks?
There's certainly no statement of what from each unit. I don't think
if you're within 6 inches of 3, does it stack 3 times?
Any unit, so no, it won't stack. But it will certainly stack with other bravery modifiers, and I think that's where you can really start to do some damage with the Nighthaunt. This is about scaring the heebie-jeebies out of everybody.
It's thematic. I mean, they're spooky ghosts, and spooky ghosts are going to make you run.
Okay, for you, I think you were.
Well, it was the wave of terror. I mean, you've got the book open there, so correct me if I'm wrong, but if you do a unmodified roll of 10+ when you do a charge,
that's right.
Your unit immediately makes an attack. So that unit immediately attacks in combat and then can be selected in the combat phase again to attack again. That is just, especially with an army that has a potential to dish out quite a few mortal wounds, i.e. Spirit Hosts and Hex Wraiths, getting that initial charge in,
and then just attack.
Rolling loads of 6s, doing loads of damage before.
You've got to get that 10 up. But the thing is though, it happens. I love the bit of fluff to this. So it says, on many occasions, entire battle lines have been overrun by a swarming Nighthaunt host without even raising a blade in their own defense. And I love that fact that if you get that fast charge, everyone's just too terrified to react, and that's what's represented in that rule of getting that extra attack in before you even go. I think it's brilliant. I love it. I think it's also worth mentioning just briefly, there's a section down here on returning slain models. So it talks about several Nighthaunt abilities allow you to return a slain model to a unit. When you do so, you've got to set it up within 1 inch of a model from the unit they're returning to. This can be a model you returned earlier, so you can sort of daisy chain your slain models in to occupy a bigger space. Slain models you return to a unit can only be set up within 3 inches of an enemy if 1 or more models from the unit that are returning to are already within 3 inches of an enemy. So you can't use this to crawl into combat, but you can use this to kind of slowly move back away from it.
Or surround in combat.
Which is interesting. To start to bubble wrap around the unit.
To start to bubble wrap around by summoning back.
Wow. Combine that with what we've seen in Age of Sigmar 2 with the new pile-in rule, where if you're in base to base, you can still start to move around as well. You can see enemy units getting completely bogged down with some of the battle line units in this army. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Looking at the command traits, my favourite, and I'm not going to go through them all. I think it's only fair that if the Games Workshop have been great to give us this. So obviously, if we just posted everything up online, then there's no fun, is there? And you need to go out and get copies of your own and really enjoy it. But my favourite command trait has to be Terrifying Entity. So I don't know whether this is new, Steve. Maybe you can tell me. But the start of an enemy movement phase, roll a dice for each enemy unit within 3 inches of this model. If the roll is equal to or greater than the enemy unit's bravery characteristic, the unit must make a retreat move in that movement phase. So.
That's definitely a new trait. There is couple of questions I would pose onto that one.
Yeah.
Is that a unmodified bravery characteristic? So, because I think Skaven's bravery gets bigger with the more numbers they have.
It's the characteristic, so it will be what's on the Battletome, basically.
So, okay, well that means Skaven are going to be running away a lot, I think.
Well, this is the thing. What have we just been talking about? We've been talking about the ability to wrap around the unit by returning models.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the new pile-in rule, which allows you to wrap around the models, and then you force a retreat, which they can't make. And if you can't make your retreat move, you're destroyed.
Oh dear.
So I think you could really kind of combo that thing up and have some fun with that. Looking at spell laws, Steve, we had a quick chat through them together, and I think the one that caught your eye was Soul Cage.
Yeah, so Soul Cage, casting value is 7.
Yeah, 6.
6, even better. So you pick a unit within 12 inches, casting value is 6, and that unit can attack last after everything else has attacked. So, when we were talking about bogging units down with bringing units back and surrounding them, you could hit with everything on that guy before he gets to attack anything back. And
this is until your next hero phase.
Yeah.
So this is 2 rounds. If you're taking first, it's 2 rounds of combat.
2 rounds of combat, either way you look at it.
Yeah.
So that could be really, really effective. You could shut down someone's character.
Yeah.
You can shut down someone's Death Star unit.
Some Uber Death Star unit, surrounded by as many things as possible. Make it fight last.
Mortal wound it to heck, and then shut it down and say you can't attack until everything else has.
Looking at some of the artifacts of power. Again, something that piqued your eye was the Infernal Lanterns, and in particular the Beacon of Nagashi Zar. So this is if the bearer successfully casts the Spectral Law spell, which is a kind of healing, replenishing spell that's from the Guardian of Souls. This now, instead of the healing D6, this is D6 plus 3. Now this is either a heal against a multi-wound unit, or it's returning that many slain models. So the minimum's going to be
4. It's just when you've got big units of 20. One thing that has become very apparent in this book is there is a lot of ways of healing your units.
Yeah.
And just being an unrelentless horde of ghosts. And I mean, this spell D6 plus 3. I mean, to a character as well, that could be invaluable.
Yeah.
So it's awesome artifact, and one that I will definitely be taking.
Before we get into the battle scrolls, there's a couple of things in here really. We've got a battle plan, Death from Within, nice little deployment map as well. So I think we were just saying we ought to try this. So maybe that's one of the dues. We do like a little battle report for that one. You don't see these battle plans out of the Battletomes very often. So.
No, you don't, because they can be quite one-sided. In favour of one-sided, and that's why. But there's so much variety out there with faction-specific battle plans and stuff like that, and I do think we should try them more rather than just getting the generic battle plans on bat reps all the time.
Saying that, there's a whole bunch of battle plans in Soul Wars. Mental. There's plenty to be doing, but it would be nice to do some of these thematic ones. I think you're right. I think traditionally I've steered away from them, even if they're my own, because most of the time it's such a boon to you. But maybe we can look at some narrative games here. That's what we've talked about, and it'd be great fun to see some of these in the book. After that, really, what we've got is Path to Glory. I'm not going to go through all of the details. I think it's brilliant they're adding Path to Glory rules into Battletomes again.
And that's one thing I do think we should do. As a channel,
absolutely.
Is we all start with 500 points, have a bit of a Path to Glory campaign, and then the viewers can watch our armies grow, and then we can add to it. So I think that'd be great.
Okay, after that we're into a whole section of War Scroll Battalions. There's quite a lot actually. Going through the book, there's a good few to choose from. Some of them are easier to achieve than others. Obviously, with War Scroll Battalions, that's about additional command points. This is useful during the gameplay. You've got to get those command dice going. If we take Chain Guard, for instance, this is 1 Guardian of Souls, 2 Chain Wrath Hordes. That's easy. That's
in 1,000 points easy.
Yeah, it's no problem at all. Just having a quick look at what it does. It says, each time the Horde from this battalion is affected by a Spectral Law or Temporal Translocation spell, cast by the Guardian of Souls, that's part of the battalion again, you can return D6 slain models to the unit, in addition to any models that you returned through the Spectral Law spell.
So, let me get this right. So, you can, in that battalion, you can return D6, you then got the Artifact of Power, which makes it D6 plus 3, and now the battalions are further D6.
Yeah, so 2D6 plus 3.
Minimum
it's minimum of 5. It's an average of 10?
Yeah.
I think you're probably, it's 3.5 each, so 7 plus another 3. So yeah, an average of 10. Wow.
That's insane.
Okay, so moving into the War Scrolls. Lady Olinda. And I'm saying Olinda. I think it's Olinda.
Olinda. I think that's, yeah.
I'm good with Lady Olinda.
Olinda.
Rapidly becoming my favourite character in there. And I know that some of the other stuff looks more powerful, but I just like the background to her. I really like this whole cheating, scheming, horrible Black Widow who Nagash then decides to punish for an eternity and still manages to make that very punishment like a boon. It's like, oh yeah, you're going to make me really, really sad, and with waves and waves of grief.
But she does feel all the grief of the mortal realms.
Oh yeah, I know. Which is probably quite a lot. Let's face it. Those mortal realms are pretty. Yeah. There's a lot of grief in the mortal realms. Okay, quick look at some of the stuff again without going through. She's got 7 wounds, and I think that has struck me about this Battletome. There's nothing particularly high on wounds.
No, the Black Coach is the highest on 12, I believe.
Yeah, but
that is the only behemoth.
Yeah, we've seen there's plenty of mechanics to actually return those wounds, so I don't think you have to be concerned. You're playing a different play style. This isn't about tanks that can just keep taking wound after wound after wound.
This is a game of attrition.
But it does make you think about how you expose these units, because removing 7 wounds is not impossible.
No.
Not impossible.
No.
We're not talking about 16 wounds or whatever it is off of Lariel. Before her healing is kicking in constantly as well. So check out the battle report. So yeah, there's some fragility here. But saying that, there's also some great powers as well. Looking at the War Scroll, there's a couple of things I'd like to pick up, and we've gone through this together, and we've both got our favourites. For me, it's a little one, but it's the Grave Sands of Time. I like it. This is once per battle in your hero phase, you can either inflict D6 mortal wounds on an enemy hero within 6 inch, or you can heal D6 wounds that have been allocated to this model. So I love that. She's got 7 wounds. She's got a D6 heal. If there's no hero around, that's what you go for.
Yeah.
If there's a hero around with 3 or 4 wounds left, it's time to say goodbye.
And that shadows the Gravesand Hourglass, which is the Legions of Nagash artifact, where you ping a hero for D3 mortal wounds before the battle starts.
Right.
And then every round on a 4-up, they take another mortal wound.
Very much in line with the model itself, lifting the veil. This is the thematic power that she has.
This is the bride.
So those that see what lies beneath, as they say. At the start of your hero phase, pick an enemy unit within 12 inch of this model that is visible to her and roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2, plus the unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the roll. In addition, if any enemy models are slain with this ability, immediately heal D3 wounds. So here we go again. This is a 1, nothing happened.
Yeah.
2, that's that many mortal wounds going out there. And then, and then D3 mortal wounds. So let's just look at those 2 things together.
Yeah.
You're dishing out D6 mortal wounds to a nearby hero. You then have the opportunity to dish out another D6 mortal wounds Admittedly, if you roll a 1, it goes away, but, come on. I never roll 1.
I rarely roll 1s.
And then the heal on top as well. So there you go. It's just great. Last thing to have a look at on her War Scroll is the command ability. So this is no rest for the wicked. You can use this command ability in your hero phase if your model or general is on the battlefield, and if you do so, you can return 1 slain model to each friendly summonable Nighthaunt unit that's within 12 inch of a friendly model with this command ability. So again, nice central bubble wrap. Just keep bringing people back, and it's 1 model, but it's just one more model.
One model added to what you've already brought back.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. I love it. Something that caught your eye. They're Mirmorn Banshees.
Yep.
Really nice looking models anyway. I'm pretty much into them. I don't think they've been released yet. Is that right? This is going to be a new release.
I don't think they have. No.
Yeah. So we've seen a little bit of the model, and hopefully that's going to be coming soon. They certainly look like the new style, so I'm guessing these are not released yet actually. So looking at the hands. What did you like about them? What did you pick up?
It's we don't see much anti-magic in Death. There are little bits, but there's not much. But this is a unit which can dispel enemy spells, and they get +1 for the greater the number. So I think it's for every 4 models in the unit, they get +1 to the dispel roll, or unbinding roll, should we say. And if they successfully do it, they then get +1 attack to the chill daggers until the next enemy hero phase. So if you're playing against a Tzeentch army, and if you don't take these against Tzeentch, then you're foolish. And they can cast up to number of spells.
The power is called Spell Eaters. I like the fluff to it. These spirits were once wizards, and they failed to pay the proper respect to Nagash, which, I'm pretty much learning that's a no-no.
No, don't do
that. Because if you do that, you spend an eternity cursed to agonizingly consuming the magic of others. I love the agonizingly consuming the magic. So it's not comfortable, this.
No, it's not like they're going out for a picnic.
The last battle scroll in the book is the Black Coach. I'm a big fan of this. I think it's great.
Me too.
I like the mechanic of the evocation of death. So this is essentially the Black Coach absorbs death magic, swelling with power, and it consumes more and more of the Darksome force. Good word, Darksome. At the start of each battle round, roll 3 dice for each Black Coach on the battlefield, and on a 4-up, the Black Coach gains a level of power. Levels of power are cumulative. They last for the rest of the battle, and they grant the following abilities. And it goes on to list 5 levels of power abilities. The one that caught my eye, 4th level, insubstantial form. The Black Coach seems to flicker in and out of reality, making it all but impossible to trap and envelop. This model can retreat and charge in the same turn. I love it.
Brilliant. And those of us who have played Death before know that the evocation of Death is very similar to what it was before, but this time don't have to surround it with wizards or banshees this time. So it is good to see they moved on.
And that retreat and charge, it's a great mechanic for transporting yourself further along the table. Come out of one combat, charge
straight into the next combat, and then just keep going up the board.
And that's one thing that we've both seen in this. This is a fast army. We're both saying this is quick. This is all over the table.
Just a quick question, which I'm sure a lot of people are currently sat waiting. Is the Black Coach now ethereal?
It is indeed. Ignore modifiers, positive or negative, making save rolls for the that attack this target. So we've not really talked about ethereal. It's across the entire army. I'm pretty 100% certain everything in Nighthaunt has that. So there's no modifier to their save. No. You can't put rend onto it, but nor can they gain anything from cover saves and the rest.
Obviously we know Mystic Shield is different.
Yes, so that still comes into play.
Yeah, and back in tournaments where I used to hide my little Banshee with Mystic Shield in a wood, giving it a 2+ unrendable save. Mm-hmm. No longer can I do that. It will still be 4+, but re-rolling once because of the new Mystic Shield.
The last thing to talk about, and I'm a big fan of these. I've faced Rachel with her endless spells coming out of Seraphon, and no surprise, factions are seeing their own endless spells, which I think is brilliant. I love the idea of spells being an element of your army, if you like. Okay, let's have a quick look at this. We've got 3 endless spells, the Shyish Reaper, the Vault of Souls, and the Mortalis Terminexus. Beautiful. Absolutely great models. Love this. We've said this before with some of the endless spells with the giant pendulum. That would be brilliant on a Night Titan, by the way. You know, just go for that on a Death Guard Night Titan. You've got to do that. Some really cool stuff in here in terms of the abilities. You know, they're all, interestingly enough, they're all predatory. So, you know, this is all about sending stuff around the table. Okay, I want to talk about the Vault of Souls. It's one of my favourite. It's one of your favourite. It's the favourite.
It's the favourite.
So essentially this works is after the model has been set up or has moved, roll a dice for each model within 6 inch. So look out Horde armies. On a 6-up, that model suffers 1 mortal wound. You say, okay, you know, Horde, it's going to be trouble. Few characters in a row within 6 inches.
If you're rolling 20 dice, that's, yeah.
That's not where it ends. Soul Eruption. Should the Vault of Souls glut itself too greedily, the captured spirits within will burst free, tearing at those nearby in their desperation to escape. What that means in rule sense is keep a track of the number of mortal wounds that have been inflicted by this model. And if you get to 20 or more at the end of any phase, all units within 6 inch of this model suffer D6 mortal wounds. And then the model's dispelled. So it's a big explosion of D6 mortal wounds. And bear in mind that's the end of a phase. So it's still gone around and...
yeah.
Thrown a few mortal wounds out as well before it then popped those off. So I like it. If you can get that into the right place, if you can summon it into the right place and move it into the right place, I think you can have some fun.
But it also affects your own units.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the thing. That's the thing you got to be careful of. Is, you know, you could. It's like a nice little hand grenade. You start throwing it out there. If you forget about it, and then suddenly you're around the chest. Boom.
Yeah, and not only that, of course, it's a predatory, which means your opponent can get to control this. And what we've seen in the battle reports we've done so far is that turn roll now mechanic. Everybody who's played it loves it. We've not had a chance to do a game yet, Steve. We'll be doing the game. But everybody who's played the new mechanic, the draw, and more importantly then, even when you get it, you go, you know what? I'm still not sure what I want to do. That's brilliant. So Bravo Games Workshop, I think they've really... taken a mechanic that was extremely unpopular. I think, you know, generally it was, the double turn wasn't a fan of many people, and turned it into something that's really engaging for the game. Well, that kind of gets us to the end. Pitch battle profiles are in there. Again, they're going to be available online very shortly. In fact,
if they're not out already.
I think, yes, pretty much as this goes up for pre-order, I think the app will be updated, so we'll see all of these new points. I'm not going to go into that. So that gets us to the end of the book, really. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed that. That basically takes us through the Battletome. You know, it's a quick overview. We've shown the 3 main sections of it, really, and shown you some of the highlights that have caught our eye. I think they're going to be a great faction. I'm rapidly painting mine up. I think you can't have too many Death Armies.
I ain't got all of mine yet. And I'm going to add it to my already existing horde.
Yep. If you like what you've seen, don't forget to pop over and check out Stormcast Eternal's review. If you've not seen that already, that's going up at the same time as this video as well. So have a look at what the guys have got to say about that. If you like what you see, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to support Wargamer Online, pop over to our website. That's wargameronline.com. And if you want to support us, you can sign up for a premium membership. It's $2.99 a month. It helps us do more and more of this. So we're working really hard to get more and more battle reports out. And everybody supporting us through our premium membership is what makes it all happen. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Great. I've had a lot of fun. So it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Steve. Steve?